her views at the same time. Now, there is something that is going on. There are changes that have been made in the leadership of the Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association. Babu Owino was dropped as the Secretary General, and Irene Mayaka was chosen to be the replacement. We talk about this and many others during the next few minutes or so, and we will be engaging Senator Hezena Lemaletian, as I had said earlier on. I'll be also playing to you something that Babu said, which I believe will be very important to this discussion. But first of all, let me introduce the good Senator. Senator Hezena, if you can hear me right now, good evening, and how are you doing?
Good evening to you, Keith. I'm okay. All is well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Actually, Joseph Case is my producer. You are speaking to Dennis Omondi. Anyway, we...
Oh.
Okay. No, nothing is wrong. I think that is still okay. So, Hezena, before I get into Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association, I want us to start with Hezena, the senator. We've seen the rise of Hezena. And if I'm not wrong, I stand to be corrected on this one. You graduated from the UN in 2015. Within 7 years or 8 years, you are now in parliament. What you've done is not impossible. You've proven to us that it is possible and it can be done. But what is the secret?
Well, I think the secret basically is consistency, hard work, and putting God first, having a strong faith, and even more self-will, of the willpower. Mm-hmm. Whatever you conceive in your mind, you can achieve. That's what I tell everybody.
Mm-hmm. So somewhere is asking perhaps, where did your leadership start? We see many politicians, young politicians that is start from campus and they move and they build on this. Did you have a leadership position somewhere else apart from now the Senate?
Absolutely. I always had prefect roles in school. I had a role in primary school, in high school, and I also had of course I got into pageant, the Miss Tourism, and then Miss Commonwealth Kenya, currently reigning. And then I also was among the founding members of the Kenya Ma Students Association when I was in the university, where we brought about all the Ma students together to form a body that would articulate and advocate for the issues affecting the young people and most of the students within the university. So we had Samburu University students, we had Maasai Students Association, we had Rendile Students Association, but we formed a body that was like an umbrella body to bring all these associations together. And I think that's where I made a lot of networks with the youth and the young people. And so, yeah, I can say that's where I started my leadership.
Okay, and you have clearly built it, and right now you are on the map. There is no doubt about that. But enough of Hezena, the person. Now I want Hezena, the leader now. And you have been part of the leadership of the Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association. And just before I get into that, would you just take my viewer tonight through what is KYPA? For someone who doesn't know, who is coming across this for the first time.
So yeah, KYPA is the Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association. It's an association that advocates for the voice and amplifies the voice of the young people within Parliament, and it brings together both houses of the of Parliament of Kenya, the Senate and the National Assembly, and more so young leaders. I cannot categorically say that these are youth like for 35 and below, because there are people who are older, but they're still part of KYPA. So it's basically the voice of a young person in politics, because it's actually ideally supposed to be a safe space for the young people, for the young parliamentarians to articulate themselves and also issues affecting young people and generally our position as young people and young leaders in this country on national matters.
Okay, actually, you've answered. It is like you were reading through my mind. I wanted to ask the age of members, but that's okay because I had seen quite some older members in that grouping. But that aside, and when I look into what is going on, first of all, are you still the secretary, not secretary, but the treasurer to KYPA?
Absolutely, I'm the treasurer, and as you have seen, I'm the duly elected legal treasurer of the Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association, and Honorable Babu Wino is still the duly elected legal secretary general of the Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association. We have the chairperson, who is Honorable Eric Wamwimbi.
Mm-hmm. So I think at this point, you will allow me to play a bite from Babu Owino just before I ask the next question.
Right.
Okay.
The Speaker gave me the communication on the new officials of the new officials of KYPA, and this has been rendered useless. This is balderdash, nonsensical, gibberish, and it has caused a lot of consternation, discomposure, and discomfiture of spirits. Oh, it has also caused a lot of discombobulation of spirits. And as the Secretary General of KYPA, the other day I did say that I resigned. I wanted to test and see my enemies in KYPA. The people who could start opposing me in KYPA. There is nothing like resignation as the Secretary General of KYPA. I will give a way forward on what should be done in KYPA. The Registrar of Societies did write a letter, did communicate to KYPA that whatever was done, the sham elections, is not recognized. It is not legal. Therefore, the coup that was planned by some members in KYPA will not hold. As the Secretary General, I will expel 5 members without trial from KYPA. They will stand expelled from KYPA without trial. I will draft a letter soon. And if you go by the letter that I've given the members of the media, members of the press, look at that letter that has been drafted by the Registrar of Societies, it is very clear that only the Secretary General shall call for elections. It is only the Secretary General that shall write a letter to the Registrar of Societies, duly signed, notifying the Registrar of the changes that are made.
Hezena, am I right to be confused at this point? Going by the statement of Babu Owino and by your statement,
Absolutely.
what you told me just a few moments ago?
I think my Secretary General has just reiterated what we are the duly elected members of the Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association, and the office stands as it is. Of course, there was an attempted coup by a handful.
Okay, I think I've lost the senator. Okay, carry on.
Sorry, there was a phone came in. Sorry.
Okay.
There was an attempted coup, an unsuccessful coup by a few members, only a handful of them. We had the majority, and of course, it did not meet the required standards of a coup, because as our constitution defines, like as far as we are speaking, there's been a court order barring any new officials from taking over, and that they did not follow the due procedure. If they wanted to get the leadership out of office. They did not follow the due procedure, which is convene a meeting, have the minutes, and also make sure they have quorum and a majority. They do not follow any legal procedure, and that's why the court stopped them.
But Senator...
So yeah, we are still the duly elected officials.
But Senator, I think my understanding of what a coup is differs from what you are telling me tonight, because I don't understand. I saw Babu in that meeting that happened in Honorable Caleb Amisisi's house, and he walked out of this meeting, and alongside the others, they gave a press statement saying he had stepped down. In fact, he said later that he was going to do some other things, that he had been Secretary General for about 5 years, and it was time for somebody else to try. How again do you come and say there was a coup? First of all, did you attend the meeting yourself?
I did not attend the meeting because the meeting was convened by some of the participants in the coup. I did not care what side of the coalition they were from, but because as a leader and as a young national leader, the Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association is supposed to bring together all young parliamentarians regardless of what association they come from. And they should be able to articulate issues affecting the young people countrywide, regardless of what side of the coalition they come from, because what we aim at is sanitizing the politics of our country, so that our politics is people-centered, is people-based, and our politics is should be on ensuring that we fight on ideologies and not supremacy battles on who is sitting where, who is what. So those are the grounds why I did not attend that meeting, and I think your ethical journalism mandates you to follow the news as it comes out. You have seen the latest statement by Honorable Babu. We know I cannot speak for him, but I think he was very clear and articulate. He said that he had said he was stepping down to know his enemies. So I am not his secretary or his personal assistant, nor am I his advocate to speak and say otherwise. If he said that way, that is exactly how it's going to be.
And I think we are.
I can only speak for myself because I did not resign and I did not hand over the office because the due procedure was not followed. Because whether it's a coup or a new fresh election, there are rules and their constitution. There's a constitution that KYPA must follow. And as it stands, all those members who led the coup are being expelled so far. I think you've heard that from our Secretary General.
Okay, I think it is also unfair to accuse us of doing unethical journalism. I mean, this is communication that both of these communications came from the same Babu, but
you're putting the cat before the horse. If you put the cat before the horse, because you should have known that the statement you've just played here is the most recent statement. And I think it's he has summarily said everything that needs to be said as far as his position was during the meeting. And I did not see him in the meeting, by the way.
Okay, so where does this leave, for example, Irene Mayaka, who we were to host this evening? We've not yet gotten hold of her. The Kitui women representative, that is Irene Kasalu, who was apparently to replace you. These are your fellow women leaders. Where does this leave them, and how do you feel about them tonight?
I think they should be able to speak for themselves. Being women leaders, we want to set an example where we are able to air our voices and speak and say our own story.
Okay, fair enough. I think we'll have to end it at that point. There are challenges along the way, I believe. For example, for you, the young leaders. Just the other day, we saw the case of Kirinyaga women representative, that is Honorable Njeri Maina, and what happened to her in Kirinyaga County. And your group even issued a statement and said, we are not going to let this go. We cannot have a situation where leaders are attacked in broad daylight by the outright goons. First of all, How far have you gone in terms of looking into this case? Where is the case right now, if you've been following it?
Sorry, just come up again.
I'm talking about, for example, there are challenges that you face. I believe you will be able to tell us other challenges. But one of them is, for example, attacks from people who you say should be the ones mentoring you, but are seeing you as rivals. And I just want to cite the case of Kirinyaga women representative, that is Honorable Njeri Maina, who was attacked in her home ground, that is back in Kirinyaga. And at that time, KYPA released or talked about this and said that we are not going to let this go. I'm quoting, "We cannot have a situation where leaders are attacked in broad daylight by outright goons." And I just wanted to know if you've been following this story. Where is it right now? Have you followed it up as KYPA?
Yeah, it was being followed up by the Kenya Women Parliamentarians Association, which I'm also a member of. But as young parliamentarians, of course, I like I was saying during my campaigns, and I want to reiterate that for a very long time we've had people whom I refer to as gatekeepers during the campaigns. So basically, gatekeepers are people who do not want to the youth or the young people to have a safe space in politics. And of course, we as KYPA, we strongly condemn against any injustices meted against any young parliamentarians across the country, any young person across the country, just because they want to participate in the political process, they are in politics, or they are aspiring, or whatever.
Okay, I was looking at the people who carried out these acts. Most of them are young people. They are youths. As much as it is being framed as the older politicians versus the younger politicians, could it also be youth versus youth? The young people going against fellow young people?
100%, of course, because you see, the young people are the ones who are very idle and jobless. So when these people, when the older people want to destabilize anything, they bring the young people, because the young people have the energy. And these are the things I call misuse of the young people, because they even the older people, even the ones who are gatekeeping, understand that the youth have an immense potential and possibility, and their most successful tool over the years is to ensure that the young people are divided. That's why you're seeing even wrangles within the Kenya Young Parliamentary Association. It's because definitely there's somebody who is behind this. So when you see the biggest threat to this country and to this continent at large is if young people are united. It's the same thing as if women were united, a lot would be achieved. But if the young people who make up the highest constituency in this country and across the continent, 75% of Kenya's population would unite, a lot can change. We would be able to elect whoever we want. We will be able to put into the highest office whoever we want. But there will always be enemies. There will always be thorns within. There will always be, and it's made successful by a lot of things: unemployment, joblessness, drug abuse.
Okay.
It's made successful by a lot of things, because all these people want things to alternatives to occupy their time.
Okay, Senator, I also want us to talk about the role and how legislation has been in the last 1 year. I understand you guys have been in the August House for some time now. You are almost marking your first year. But just before that, I want to address one thing here. There are members behaving badly, and some are even engaging in criminal acts. And these acts, I believe, must be denounced by the strongest terms possible. Kenyans on Twitter, or X, tonight are having a field day following revelations by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission that there are some youthful legislators who were planning to swindle a Tunisian apparently of 1 billion shillings. Interior CS Matiang'i had warned us ahead of the 2022 general elections that if we don't take care, we might end up with the highest number of very shady people in parliament after that election. And DCI had specifically said that these are youthful lawmakers. That's why I'm asking this question. Are we dealing with servant leaders here? Or we are dealing with young, greedy, power-hungry individuals who just want the perfect life as seen in the eyes of fellow young people. These are people who you rub shoulders with in parliament. Do you think they are the torchbearers and they have the future of this country and they are carrying it well?
So basically, my experience has been very different being a young person in this house because I'll be very honest. When I was joining, before I joined politics, I was like any other Kenyan youth watching, before I joined the August House, I was like any other youth who was watching them on TV and thinking, wow, we have the smartest of the smartest brains in the country. But then getting in there, I realized that what we have is actually a sample representation of Kenya as a whole. And I think we must not blanket condemn all leaders and put them in one basket, because at the end of the day, it all boils to personality. So if the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission thinks they have a case, they should pursue it to the latter. They are my former employee, and I cannot say much about it. Okay. But I trust Ethics and Anti-Corruption to do their job with the utmost integrity, as they are with utmost ethics and integrity. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, these leaders are also human beings, and human beings make mistakes. But it's up to the electorate. That's why you have elections to separate the maize from the chaff. If that was the maize cob that you chose to bring to the August House, okay, that's fine by you.
Okay.
I mean, there will be another election in 3 years. So it will be your opportunity to choose better.
Fine, Senator. Fine, Senator. I think that warning has been taken. But even as we wind up, I want to get your final comment. And of course, there was this revelation or this organization that said there are some politicians who are very active in the House and some are not very active in the House. I believe you know where they ranked you. Maybe you can talk to them tonight.
Yeah, I was ranked as one of the least active, but who are they anyway? I don't even know them. What I know is that not all of us can be parrots. I'm a person who calculates their words. I am very articulate and slow but sure. Mm-hmm. And I'm very steady in what I do. I just don't want to parrot and talk about whatnot. It's been a whole year of learning. I have been speaking probably. I have been speaking, and if they saw the backlash they got from my supporters online, they have my supporters have forwarded to them my contributions in the House. And if me causing drama or appearing in the grapevines and whatnots or the front pages of a magazine is what would make me active, mm-hmm, I refuse to be active.
Okay, thank you so much, Senator. I really appreciate you for your time.
Familiarity breeds content.
Okay, Senator, we don't take it for granted. Thank you very much once again. I hope you will grant us another interview some other time to discuss so many things, including your track record in the House. Thank you.
But you not ask me about health.
You're reminding me that. Okay, I'll organize another interview. We'll talk about it definitely next time. Right now, we are having constraints in terms of time.
Because I want to talk about issues that affect young people, real issues, like the school fees. It's a problem.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can I book you next time?
Sure, absolutely. Anything for the young people.
Okay, thank you so much.
Well,
We'll
not
discuss
anything.
we'll discuss that, and we'll not touch on politics and anything to do with politics. Thank you so much. Good night, Mheshimiwa. All right.
Thank you. Good night.